my beautiful friends. Welcome to the Rebirth Podcast. My name is Caitlin Hill, and I am so happy to have you here. I am talking about one of my absolute favorite things in the world to talk about today, which is manifestation. And honestly, I cannot think of something that I love to talk about more. It probably goes like motherhood and then manifestation. It's something that I have always been drawn to since the first time that I ever heard about it, which was back in, I was about 19 years old, 18, 19 years old, when I first heard about manifestation. And I had no prerequisite to it at that point in my life. Like, I really did not know anything about creating our own lives and having the power to do so. And I can remember going out for coffee with a friend of mine, and she mentioned The Secret, and I had no idea what it was or what it meant. She was talking about how we can create our own lives and from our thoughts and what we believe. And I was like, what? Like, I'd never even heard of this concept before. And so when she was explaining it to me, I was like, it totally resonated with me. And then from there, I read The Secret, I watched The Secret, and I became completely obsessed with it. And I totally, even though I was so attracted to it, it's still one of those things like everything else in life that's just a practice where it's not something that you ever maybe completely achieve. Like with yoga, it's not like you're like, well, I'm the best yogi in the world because I can do this pose perfectly. Like, every day is going to be so different because you are different. You are always changing. And the same thing goes for manifestation, is that it's a very much a practice because there's so many different things that will come up in life. And even still to this day, I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about manifesting that into my life as well. Like, it runs so incredibly deep. And when you think about it, it's just so obvious. Like, I kind of like to put it into really simple text and form when I think about manifestation, because there are so many different ways to go about it that I think that sometimes it can feel like a little bit overwhelming for people. Like, well, how do I do it? Like, what do I actually have to do? So I'm going to talk about it in the most simple form possible. And I'm going to share some tips and tricks and ways that I've used manifestation in my life that have been incredibly powerful. And I also just wanted to mention that everyone manifests differently. Like, if you know me, I am not into any kind of one size fits all mentality for anything in life. So this is not one size fits all. This is what's worked for me. And if you're familiar with human design, I am a manifestor, which everyone is a manifestor in their own way. We're always manifesting and creating our lives, whether we're consciously doing it or not. So that's like a huge piece to it, is that like, you can be like, oh, I'm so good at manifesting, but like everyone kind of is. It's just whether you're manifesting what it is that you desire or what you don't desire. So whatever has the most charge, basically, is what will be manifested. But again, I'm going to get into that a little bit more, because also there's power to neutrality as well, because we're always co-creating with the universe. So in that sense, it's like, yes, there's power and charge to what it is that you desire, but you also want to have a very laid back energy about it. You don't want to have this like desperate vibe. Like, if you think about going out on a date with someone that like really wants to date you, that's going to turn you off. And that's basically how the universe is as well. Like, if you're super desperate about what it is that you desire, then the universe is like, oh God, give me a break. That's how I think of it. But also that it's like that you're actually manifesting more of that desperate energy, and that you don't already have it. So it's very like nuanced. And anyways, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. and talk about how I do it. And we'll get into all of that. But first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting and listening to my podcast. It's been so exciting for me to start it. And I'm very big on creating when I feel inspired to do so. And obviously I'm a mother of 3. So this start to this new season in our lives, going into the fall, with it being pretty hectic September. I definitely wasn't feeling like creating as much. And so I'm really like tapping into when I feel like coming on here and recording. So I hope that you can feel the power in that. And please do me a huge favor and rate my podcast. It does so much for my podcast for me to be able to continue with it. And I love to hear your advice and your ratings and comments and reviews as well. So thank you so much for doing that. Okay, so, oh my gosh, I'm very relaxed right now. I'm in my room. Safia is at her beautiful school that we finally chose. It took us a really long time to find one that we liked. And the girls are out with my mother-in-law and their great-grandmother, actually. So Matisse is downstairs doing a little bit of work, and I'm sitting here. I've got my my Coven candle burning. If you watched my last podcast episode, that was with Chloe, and she has her beautiful line of candles and sprays, and it's just evolving and growing so much. But I've got my Coven candle here. It smells so beautiful. And I've got my spray as well. I just actually sprayed it on the back of my neck, the Witch's Brew. It's so lovely. So I am coming from a very grounded place right now. Nowhere else to be, nothing else to do other than just talk to you about like literally my favorite subject in the world. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this. So basically with manifestation, I think, let's start from the very beginning here, because I think the most important thing when it comes to manifestation is being in alignment with yourself. So that means knowing yourself and knowing what it is that you want. Because the thing is that if you don't know what it is that you want, you can't lie to the universe. Like if you're like, yeah, okay, I guess I want this or I want that, or you're kind of desiring something that maybe someone else has, but it's not particularly for you, you can't lie to the universe. Like it's going to be able to see through that feeling and that vibration, because it's all about the frequency in which you are emitting. So if you're not totally in tune with yourself and what it is that you desire, it's pretty hard to manifest. Just going to start with that. So that would be the first thing that I would say to do, is to get to know yourself. Know what it is that you want, not because someone else wants it for you or because someone else has that thing that you think that you're supposed to have. Like really tune in and tap into what it is that you want. Okay, so for me, like I was always like very confused about what it was that I wanted. And I would kind of like let others sway my decision on where it was that I stood on things. So I kind of like didn't have a firm understanding of what direction that it was that I wanted to go in. And if you think about it, it's kind of just like laying out a map. Like if you're like, okay, I want to go this way, but you don't even know actually which way you want to go. Like say you're like, I could go here, I could go there, I could go there. Then the universe is like, well, I don't really know which way you're trying to go. So I don't know where to take you. I listen to lots of different speakers and thought leaders on manifestation. And, you know, I have and do listen to Abraham Hicks. And she always says that if you have 1 foot outside the door and 1 foot on the other side of the door, and you're not like walking through the door, then the universe is kind of like always going to be going back and forth between that door. And also I think she does the train analogy as well, that like when you know what it is that you want and you know yourself, then the train is going full force. But if you're not, if you're kind of like, oh, I don't really know what I want, then the train is kind of like either going backwards or just staying still and it's not moving at all. So there's lots of things that can kind of push and pull, that manifestation and the action of it. How much like steam is it creating behind it? And if you, first of all, don't know what it is that you want, again, it's pretty hard for your manifestation to actually happen if you're going, well, I guess I could have this, or maybe I want this, or maybe I want that. Like, you really have to be 100% behind what it is that you desire. And that for me was when I went to Italy about, oh my gosh, it'll be 10 years this December that I went to Florence. So crazy. And that for me was when I really felt like I met myself there and I started to tap into more of who I was and what it was that I desired. And that was when my manifestations just went through the roof, because I before that had been like so back and forth on things that I wasn't really getting what it was that I wanted. I was kind of like getting things that maybe other people wanted, or like I would stay the same, or there's that kind of like victim mentality that can come along with like other people or things happening to you rather than for you. So I think, knowing what it is that you want and then taking responsibility for that and knowing that you have the control to create that is so incredibly powerful. And of course, there are things in life that we can't control, but we can always choose how we control to react. Or sorry, what am I saying? That doesn't make sense. We can always choose how we want to react to things and react to situations, which can also, again, turn into a manifestation and can help us create more of that feeling or that vibration, more of what we want. So that would be the first thing to get out of the way. Not get out of the way, but to just have figured out is what is it that you want? Okay. So knowing that is key. And then also I wanted to mention, because for some people, it can come down to being a specific manifester or non-specific. For me, I'm a specific manifester. That's part of my human design. And like, for example, Matisse is a generator. That's his human design. So, and he's actually a non-specific generator. So for so long, I would say to him, because I'm so specific about my manifestations, like if I'm manifesting a house, I'm like, I need to think about like the color of the doorknob and the color of the door and what do I see out the windows and how do I feel in that space? Whereas for him, he can be much more broad about it. Like he's just like, yeah, I want that. Like, that's cool. That's what's up. And I was always like, babe, you need to be more specific about your manifestations, and you have to like really see it. And, I think of course he still has to really see it and visualize it, but he doesn't have to be as specific as I do, because that's just part of my human design. So it's really important to figure out your human design when it comes to manifesting, because it can help you save a lot of time. Like in terms of, maybe you are manifesting the wrong way. Like if I had told Matisse that he needed to manifest and be specific and he was trying to do that, but that wasn't working for him, then that's him just going upstream, which doesn't really work in his favor. So that's huge. I think you can go to like humandesign.com or something like that. Super easy. It's like a very quick, put in your birthday, birth time, that kind of thing, figure it out. That's super helpful. Definitely helped me. And also made me realize, because I had noticed these traits about myself before I found out. Like when I found out I was a manifestor, I was like, well, duh. Like I've always been such a powerful manifestor, and I'm very, like I come up with a lot of ideas, and I'm very creative, always have been, which is why it's so great to work with someone like Matisse, who does like so much work. He does all my editing. Like we totally, like we co-create everything together for my channel. So with him being a generator, he's more of like the doer. Like he's like, okay, let's get this done, where I'm like the ideas person. So we work really well together. And if you're a Manny Gen, whoa, like power to you. That's a powerful thing. I don't think I would sleep if I was a Manny Gen, to be honest, because if you're like just constantly like coming up with the ideas and then creating, like, wow, that's so it's a lot for sure. So cool. So good. But anyways, good things to know is what kind of manifestor are you? So for me, I like to be very, 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 very specific about what it is that I want to manifest. And most importantly, and I think this goes for every human design, is that you want to tap into how do you want to feel? Okay. That is like the most important thing, because you can be like, okay, I want this, I don't know, bag. And it's like, okay, but how are you going to feel when you have that bag? Like, what's that going to bring to you? And to really tap into that feeling of it. Like, how are you going to feel when you are embodying that version of yourself that has that thing in which you desire? And that is so powerful, because you can just have, photos on a vision board of what it is that you want. Also, super powerful. But when you can tap into that person that you would be if you had that item or that thing or that person or that situation in your life, that's where the power comes in. And that's where it can become very, very potent to manifest what it is that you desire. Okay. So I just mentioned vision boards. There's so many different ways to go about visualizing what it is that you want to create in your life. I have my vision board over here. I've been vision boarding for, I think, just over 10 years. And maybe even longer than that, to be honest, now that I'm saying that. But I am huge on vision boarding. It's such a beautiful process of creation. And actually last year, my mother-in-law and I had a whole vision board day where we spent the entire day creating our visions and what we wanted our lives to look like. And how often in life do we really get to just sit down and do that? Like, really? Because I don't know, for me, my life is very full, like it's challenging for me to be like, you know what, today I think I'm just going to vision board all day. And I that's what I'm going to do, because there's so many things like kids, cooking, cleaning, et cetera, et cetera. So when we just were able to like block off that whole day and also have like other people around you that are wanting and bringing in that same energy of creating their lives is so incredibly powerful. So to really set that time aside for yourself to be like, what do I want my life to look like? It's kind of like the shopping list for your life, and it's really fun to think of it in that way because it makes it feel so much less serious. I think like if we are really serious about manifesting and putting that energy into it, it's like you're always going to get back what you're putting out. So if you're like manic manifesting or like, oh my God, like I need this, or if you're even putting down something that you don't think that you can get, but you really want, like that can actually become a threat to your mind, because your mind could be like, well, I'm never going to have that. So therefore, your conscious mind can kind of start tearing it apart. Whereas sometimes it's even good to start small. Like start with something that you think is very achievable, that you could start off with, and then your mind won't have as much of a reaction to it. So you can start off that way too. I don't know. I'm like, go big or go home. Let's just go all the way. I want, like I know what I want and I can get behind it fully. But that's taken me a long time to get to this point of feeling that way. Unapologetically knowing what it is that I desire in a calm and relaxed manner. Notice how I'm saying like, know what it is that you want, but also be in that state of surrender and flow about it. So yeah, I love having a vision board, having that point of visualization. Also on the background of my phone, I have a mini vision board that I just made on Canva, and they have, different phone screensaver wallpapers, whatever, that you can just like literally what I do is I go on Pinterest, I get the photos, I put them into a different folder, manifestation folder file, start like gathering those up. And then I just pop those over into my wallpaper, creator thing on Canva, set it all up, make it look nice. And then I put that as the of my phone screen. So I'm seeing it all the time. I also have it as the back of my computer screen. So it's just this constant reminder that I'm just like allowing to seep into my subconscious mind that this is my life. It's just as simple as that. Some people can also have, just like even one photo, a couple photos. However it is that you do it, like what maybe for some, it's about meditating and really visualizing and imagining having that in which you desire, like really embodying that feeling and feeling that wholeheartedly. Okay, yeah, I want this car. I'm going to get into the car. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? How do I feel being in this car? And fully embodying that. So there's the visualization process of it, which is so incredibly important, and to really think about like, who is that person? Who am I as that person that has that thing in which I desire? And can I feel that way now? And it's fun. For me, it feels like I'm kind of just like tapping into my highest self, really, I think is what it's forcing you to do. And it's all fun. Like that's the thing, is this is fun. It's not meant to be like scary or intimidating, although it can bring up like a lot of subconscious feelings, and there can be so many deep rooted beliefs around like, can I have what I truly desire? And that, those beliefs can be rewired, those can be changed. And a lot of it can be changed through the way in which we talk about ourselves. Like, for example, if you're always saying, I could never have that, or I can't afford this, or this always happens to me, or I'll never have that, or I don't have the money for this, or like when you start saying that kind of stuff, like you're just basically feeding your limiting beliefs that are in your subconscious mind. Whereas when you start just saying, like, I never say that I can't afford something ever. I always say that's not in alignment for me right now, which is just the truth. It's not, because if you think about it, like, I mean, money is a totally different thing that I'd love to get into on another podcast because it's a topic that I love to talk about. But money is just an energy. So if you're saying I can't afford something, it almost seems like you don't even have the energy, or like that you can't have it. And then you're putting this limiting belief onto yourself that's just and if you're constantly saying that, then you're always creating this story and this framework for you to live in, So being really mindful of like the words in which you use to talk about yourself and like what it is that how you are and what it is that you want, like it's very important. So even just like on a day-to-day basis, kind of like looking at where do you use limiting words about yourself, and start to take an audit of those words and change them. Because it doesn't mean that you have to walk around just being like, I'm like so positive all the time and la 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 la. Like it's really just about watching how you are creating your life, because the words that you speak are spells. That's why spelling, you are creating a spell around your life. So if you can see what it is that you're saying and the story that you're creating for you, then you can really start to speak about yourself in the way that you would. Sorry. I'm trying to think about how I said this before, but basically you would want to talk about yourself as if you already had that thing. And it might sound kind of weird if you're like, yeah, I'm just going to get into my car that maybe isn't the car that you currently have. Like maybe you have like a broken down beater car and you want a G-Wagon, for example. But if you can just imagine and envision that you have that car in which you want, and act as if you already do, one day you're just going to open your eyes and be like, oh, I actually do have a G-Wagon. It's just about embodying that feeling. And then of course that's what comes next is gratitude. and being grateful for what it is that you already have. And I find the most powerful way to tap into gratitude is to tap into the fact that we already have everything that we need within us. So, for example, I have air to breathe. I can take a full breath in and a full breath out, and I have an abundance of air all around me. All around me. I have sun shining outside right now on this beautiful fall day. I have clean water to drink. I can open up the fridge and eat food. Like, there is so much to be grateful for already, that for me, if I can just be grateful for those things that are just a part of my day-to-day life, like the small, simple things, that everything else that I desire is simply a bonus to my already abundant, full life. We are abundant by nature. If you go outside and you look in Mother Nature, there is abundance everywhere. Everywhere. I'm telling you, go up to a tree. I mean, here we're on the Pacific Northwest, so we have so much greenery around, so much not so much like wildlife in terms of animals, but just like nature around us. And if I go up to a tree and I look at how many different leaves are on one tree, and I was to count how many leaves are on one tree, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. It would take me too long. There is just so much abundance around us. And to be grateful for those things, you'll be grateful no matter what. That's the beauty of life, is that we don't have to be grateful once we get those things in which we want. We can be grateful now for those things. So tapping into that gratitude is key, because if you tap into that place of, well, I don't have that thing that I want or desire yet, then you're just coming from a place of lack, and you're just going to create more lack. So again, with the frequency, it's like, what frequency am I emitting right now? Am I emitting that I already have that thing that I want? Or am I emitting that I don't have that thing that I really want? And it's holding me back, and I can't be happy if I don't have that thing. Because that's the other thing, is that if you don't feel happy now, you're not going to feel happy once you have that thing either. You have to tap into that fullness and gratitude now before having that thing that you think that you want. Because also, it's really important to know what it is that you desire, but also have neutrality around it, in the sense that this is something that I desire and I would love. And I'm also good no matter what, so that the universe can come in and can provide you with something better, because maybe what you think that it is that you want isn't actually what you need. And the universe always knows best. That's key, is to trust in that. So you can just literally go into a state of flow and surrender around what it is that you are wanting in your life. And that can be challenging, because if you're like, well, it's not showing up, it's not appearing, it's not on my doorstep, or it's not there, it's not coming, where is it? Again, you're going into more of that lack. And how is this going to happen? The universe takes care of the how. You don't have to think about the how. You just have to think about what it is that you desire, and be grateful, and work towards those things, and continue to do what feels good. Because obviously sitting down on the couch and doing nothing isn't going to bring you exactly what you want. Like, you also want to be in action mode, knowing what it is that you want. But like I was saying about the map earlier, at least you know which direction it is that you are going towards when you have that location dotted on the map. So you can start taking small steps every day towards where it is that you want to go. And then the universe will come in with like, well, this is how it's going to happen. And let it surprise you. Like, I love that excitement. I feel so excited just thinking about the universe surprising me with how things are going to happen. And being able to let go of that is so very freeing. So it can seem like there's a lot going on, and there really is. Like, when you really think of it, it's like, wow, that's like a lot to think about. But it's like can feel challenging, but it's actually very easy all at the same time. I think being able to just like have fun and let these things unfold in your life it's a practice. It's a practice to be able to do that. The other thing about manifesting is once you know what it is that you want and you have decided on that thing, say you've written it down in a journal or you have it on your vision board or however it is that you want to go about visualizing it and embodying that feeling of having it. The thing is that you want to trust that it's on its way to you. Like you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to be like, is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? I love the analogy of it's kind of like when you place an order on your Amazon account and you just know it's going to come. Like you're like, yeah, it'll be here in 2 to 3 business days or whatever it is. And it's not like you check and see, is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? Like, when's it going to be here? You just know that it's going to arrive at your front door. Manifesting and co-creating with the universe is the same way. You just have to know that it's on its way to you and trust that it is. Because again, if you start going into that, well, where is it? How is it going to happen? Energy, you will receive more of that waiting and wondering how it's going to happen energy, and it's not going to show up because you aren't fully trusting in the process of it, of your power to create what it is that you want. So once you have decided what it is that you desire, trust that it's on its way to you. And don't keep on checking to see if it's coming or not, because it just will. And that's a really new one for me because I feel like for so long I would be like, well, where is it? Like, it's not here. Like, sometimes these manifestations can take years and years to happen and to show up, and that's okay. Like, we're not meant to manifest things overnight, because then we could, if we ever had like a bad thought, then we could manifest that bad thought happening too. So it's just about like knowing and trusting in that what we want, it's already on its way. Surrender and flow to what life is bringing to you. Like, just really go into that place of feeling good. And it can be challenging. Of course, we don't always have good days. You know, sometimes we have bad days. And for me, like, I've really learned that I don't want to be like ignoring those feelings, because I feel like for so long I was like, I have to be positive. I have to be positive. I have to feel good all the time. And I have to be high vibes. But there is power to feeling what it is that you're feeling all the time and working through those feelings, because I feel like if I can just surrender to, if I'm not feeling 100% my best, that I really need to tap in and go inwards with those feelings, especially as a woman, and really allow myself to work through that and feel through that, because then those bad days will maybe last like, you know, a couple of days. And then I can come out on the other end feeling so much more powerful and ready to be even more abundant and stronger and be on the other side of that, rather than just suppressing it. And then it kind of like can throw off my energy even more if I'm not like really becoming attuned to what it is that I'm feeling. So I'm like, of course, you always want to follow what feels good, but also being mindful of like, if you don't, then don't force it, you know, like really tapping into like what you and your body, mind, and soul needs at that time. So yeah, I feel like we just dove into kind of like the beginner stages of manifesting. Of course, we can go so much deeper with it, which I will definitely be doing. But there's so many incredible things that I've manifested into my life. I've manifested the partner of my dreams, Matisse. I've manifested having children. I knew that I wanted to have children when I was 9 years old. You know, I've manifested having a podcast and being able to sit here and speak to you and make this my passion and my work that I love. I love creating. And so many more incredible things that I have manifested and created in my life. And it's beautiful. Like, and every time that it happens and I manifest and I create something, I'm like, wow, like this is real. This is not some like airy fairy, like, oh, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Like, I know wholeheartedly that manifestation works. We are always creating based off of our minds and our thoughts and our belief system. So it is very powerful stuff. And I'm so happy and grateful to be able to sit here and talk about something that I love and I'm so passionate about. And I'm guessing if you've listened to this to the end here, that you probably feel the same way, or at least you're curious about what that looks like and how it can work for you. Because let me tell you, once you can get into the flow of it happening, it just becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And you start actually manifesting way easier and way faster because you can let go of all of the limiting blocks and beliefs that you may have around what's in between you and what it is that you want. So I wish all of the best to you. I wish all of your dreams and manifestations and creations come true for you. And I am just, so grateful to have you here. So thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. Please, wherever you're listening, leave a rating, leave a review, and share this with someone that may need to hear this today, that's ready to change their lives and to create their dream lives. I'm just gonna sign off now probably and go have a little bit of lunch before the girls come home. And anyways, thank you for being here and ciao for now.